Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in the world. I'm James Schofield, the creator of the podcast Behind the Bottom Line. This is a special holiday season story which I've written for you called Vixen. This is episode 4, so if you haven't heard episodes 1 to 3, go back and listen to them first. Otherwise, the end will be spoiled. Right, for all the rest of you, here's the story so far. Colin Sutherland is starting to panic. A strange encounter with the fox, Princess Jasmine, when the family is out driving, and cryptic messages left on the answering machine from Inspector Hüttl in Frankfurt give him the feeling of being trapped. But instead of asking for help from Flora and the children, he lashes out at them, driving them further away. Then a noise outside in the dark makes him think he might at least be able to deal with that fox. Episode 4 is called Death in the Night. Colin was still fully clothed, so he flung on a coat, then grabbed Flora's shotgun and a handful of cartridges from the gun case in the study. He opened the back door quietly, careful not to turn on any lights that might warn the fox. Let's see how magic she is with some lead inside her, he thought. Keeping low, he crept towards the hen coop, which was a short distance away from the house. It was quite misty, so he couldn't see much, but he could hear noises from the hens, which suddenly turned into a cacophony of squawks as an intruder emerged through the hen coop door, dragging a victim behind it. Colin raised the shotgun and let off a shot. There was a dreadful noise, and then something raced across the grass towards the wall. He let off another shot as it got to the top, blasting it over and onto the other side. A window upstairs was thrown open, and Flora put her head outside. "Colin, what are you doing?" she shouted, but he didn't answer. He scrambled onto the wall and looked down triumphantly, expecting to find the dead Vixen. But lying on the grass was something long and black instead. He picked it up by the tail. It was a mink, one of the thousands which had bred from mink escaping from fur farms in the 1960s. He trudged back towards the house. Flora was by the hen coop where pieces of the chicken he'd blasted were scattered. She turned on him as he got near. "I thought," he started. "Clean this up," she hissed. "You've shot our best hen." "But have you killed Princess Jasmine? If you have, we'll never forgive you." "I'm sorry, it was just one of those feral minks. It was in the—" "Sorry isn't good enough. If you'd shut the hen coop door properly this evening, this wouldn't have happened, would it? And don't touch my shotgun again. Ever. You're completely irresponsible." She slammed the door behind her as she went back inside, taking the shotgun with her. It took some time to clear up the mess, and it wasn't until 3 o'clock that he was finally lying on the sofa again. Once more he began to speculate about what Hüttl could possibly have to say, and the last time he looked at his watch, it was just before 6. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. Colin opened a bleary eye and looked at his watch. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. He fell off the sofa and staggered to the telephone. "Hello?" "Good morning, Mr. Sutherland. This is Inspector Hüttl. I hope you had a nice Christmas. Did your daughters have a great time?" "It's 7 o'clock in the morning," he croaked. "I had a maximum of 1 hour's sleep last night. What do you want?" "Oh yes, I forgot. You're an hour behind, aren't you? We need to talk again about Yasmin Tilki." "Why, what's happened?" Well, I told you about the pregnancy test, didn't I? Did I say it was positive? Anyway, we pulled in her ex-boyfriend for questioning. You were working over Christmas? Evil doesn't take a holiday, Mr. Sutherland, so yes, we were. But that wasn't any good. He had an alibi for the time she went missing. So then we got in touch with the Hotel Dolomiten. Colin froze. And I sent them pictures of Yasmin. Now, guess what they told me? For a minute, there was silence. Look, Inspector, said Colin. Yes, I was there with Yasmin, but I had nothing to do with her disappearance. I'm being honest with you. Well, Mr. Sutherland, I find it very hard to believe in your honesty. You've lied to me, you're lying to your family, and you probably lied to Yasmin Tilki as well. At the moment, you're our prime suspect in her disappearance. But I'm innocent. I know nothing about it, I swear. In that case, Mr. Sutherland, you won't mind coming to Frankfurt, so I can interview you properly, will you? You can't make me. She laughed. Of course I can. Either you come of your own free will, or I'll send the Garda to arrest you at home, and I'll put you on a plane in handcuffs. Would you like that? But my family. What am I going to tell them? That's not my business, Mr. Sutherland, but I suggest you start telling them the truth. It might be painful, but it's the best thing to do. It'll destroy my marriage. She'll never forgive me. And the children. Inspector Hüttl sighed. Listen, I have another family here that are desperate to find their daughter, who has been missing for nearly a month. I'm sorry for your wife and children, but I really don't care about you. This is your problem. I expect you here tomorrow morning for an interview, or I'm sending in the Garda. She hung up. For about 5 minutes, Colin sat weeping into his hands. When he looked up, he found Flora sitting in a chair opposite him, waiting for him to finish. So, she said, I heard the last bit. I think you'd better tell me what I'm never going to forgive. He nodded. Yes, things can't get any worse, I suppose. He was wrong about that. After he'd explained everything and answered all Flora's questions, she told him exactly what she thought of him. Then she packed some bags for her and the children and left. She forbade him to touch or even say goodbye to them. He felt as if his heart was being ripped in two. Colin sat in the kitchen, staring out of the window for some time. Eventually he got out his computer and booked a flight to Frankfurt for that evening. He spent the rest of the day organising his affairs and arranging for a lawyer to accompany him to the police interview. It was dark when it was time to leave for the airport. He put his bag in the back of his car and set off. Foggy on the road again, he noted. He'd have to drive carefully. Back inside the empty house, the telephone rang 3 times, and then the answering machine went on. Mr. Sutherland, this is Inspector Hüttl. You don't need to fly over to be interviewed. We've finally found Yasmin Tilki's body. She hung herself in a lock-up facility about 3 weeks ago. She left a letter. I won't share the details, but let's just say she blames you for her decision. Unfortunately, we can't prosecute you for this, but I wanted you to know you were responsible. Have a happy life. Some distance away, Colin was now driving along the same hilly road as the previous evening. Valley fog, hilltop clear. Valley fog, hilltop clear. Valley fog. And then, standing there in front of him, at the top of the hill, was Yasmin, dressed exactly as he'd last seen her, waiting. He thought for a millisecond about breaking, but dismissed the idea. He knew it was all over. The emergency services got there shortly after the crash, but there was nothing to be done. Colin's neck was broken. "Hit a fox, see?" said the paramedic, pointing at the Vixen, whose body lay bloody and broken on the side of the road, "and just piled into that tree. Didn't even try to stop." I hope you enjoyed this story. If so, please recommend it to your friends and give the podcast a rating and a review if you listen on Apple Podcasts. I'm making a bonus episode about the background to the story of Vixen. So if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, then write to me at james.rupert.schofield@gmail.com before the 20th of January 2021, and I'll try to answer them. And if you liked Vixen, you might like some of the other 30 stories available on Behind the Bottom Line. Season 4 will be starting at the end of January with more funny, sad and strange stories from the world of business, and I hope you'll join me. Until then, this is James Schofield saying goodbye.